Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 7. Judas was a 3-year friend of Jesus. And by a 3-year friend, we don't mean like knew him for 3 years. We mean 24/7, every day, every night, every adventure, every healing, every experience that Jesus had. He was walking through the New Testament, if you will, with Jesus himself. And my mother used to say, at the end of a day, I had a great day. Can you imagine walking with Jesus? Can't you just imagine? I can't believe the things that happened today. We fed 4,000 today, and we saw a demon guy get healed, and then you'd go to sleep, and then the next day there'd be something equally as amazing. And then you'd be tucking yourself in, and you would say, I had another great day. Well, this is what Jesus' relationship was with Judas. So Judas had to be Jesus' friend. Judas is Jesus' friend. That's a big point of this. Jesus is my friend. Judas, and eventually was my friend. And then this story happens. So this is John, chapter 13, verse 21. After saying these things, Jesus was troubled in his spirit. And we're going to talk about why. Hold that thought. Jesus was troubled in his spirit and testified, Truly, truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me. The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he spoke. So they don't even know. They still don't know that Judas is a betrayer. One of the disciples whom Jesus loved was reclining at table close to Jesus. So this is John. So Simon Peter motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So that disciple, leaning back against Jesus, that's John, right in front of Jesus, said to him, Lord, what does he say? Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is he whom I give this morsel of bread when I have dipped it. So when he had dipped the morsel, he gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. Then after he had taken the morsel, Satan entered into him. Jesus said to him, what you are going to do, do quickly. Now, no one at the table knew why he said this to him. Some had thought because Judas had the money bag, Jesus was telling him, buy what we needed for the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the morsel of bread, he immediately went out, and it was night. All right, so we see that Jesus is troubled in spirit. Matthew also tells us that the disciples were sorrowful. And Luke has the great line that the hand of him who betrays me is with me on the table. So I wanted to talk about two things. One is the friendship of Jesus with Judas. So we talked about that already. Judas has to be Jesus' friend, or it doesn't count as a betrayal, right? You can only be betrayed by a friend. An enemy can't betray you. An enemy is just an enemy, and you expect them to do that. The thing about a betrayal is the turncoat nature of it. The other thing that hit me today was that Jesus was troubled in spirit. Now, Jesus has plenty of reasons to be troubled in spirit, and most of them are obvious to us. He's going to be captured. He's going to be arrested. He's going to be beaten. He's going to be flogged. He's going to be crucified. He's going to be abandoned by the rest of the good 11 disciples are going to abandon him. So it's no picnic for what Jesus is going to go through. That is clear. But here's the thing that I thought today. It tells us why Jesus was troubled. The word troubled means to be stirred up and unsettled. Why was Jesus troubled in spirit? Same sentence, and the words come out of his mouth, and he expresses why he has the feeling inside. And the words that come out of his mouth that explain the interior troubling is this. Truly, truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me. So Jesus is troubled that he's going to be betrayed. Perhaps part of it because of the suffering that he has to go through, but perhaps because he is seeing what Judas is going to do to himself. So yes, Jesus is going to have to walk into a buzzsaw, and Judas is going to push him into that buzzsaw with his betrayal. But Judas is pushing himself into the buzzsaw from which he's not going to recover from. So for what Judas is doing to Jesus, perhaps Jesus is troubled, and certainly that makes sense. What hit me today was that Judas was going to do this to himself. Excuse me. And Jesus, seeing his friend, stick himself with his own sword, which is what he's doing, perhaps that's the reason why Jesus was unsettled and stirred up and troubled and terrazzoed, as the Greek word says. So let's just dispense for a second that Judas is just some sort of a robot. He takes the morsel. He's not a victim. He has agency. He was close enough to get a morsel. Perhaps he was even at the second position of honor around this table, which would have been there lying. The table is in the middle, like the hub of a wheel. The disciples are 12 spokes of the wheel. The people that are closest to Jesus are most honored, and Judas was not in the place of most honoring. That's in front of Jesus, so that's John. That's why John leans back. They're all laying on their left elbow, but he's close enough to get a morsel from Jesus. So perhaps Judas was in the number 2 position on this spoke of the wheel that is behind Jesus, so Jesus can just lay over and give the morsel to Judas. So he's close enough to be labeled a betrayer. That's the amazing thing about this. All right. So let's talk about Satan's influence. He puts it in his heart, and then after this happens, after Judas takes this morsel and acts in this way, that Satan certainly becomes a more dominant influence. So the teaching point, I think, for us is, Lord, lead us not into temptation. Keep us on a short leash of obedience, if you will, before we run into the road and chase the UPS truck and get run over. So today, why was Jesus troubled in spirit? I think part of it was because he saw his good friend, his 3-year, 24/7 friend who he had been through all these great days with. He saw him walk into a buzzsaw. I never saw that before. Thanks for listening, my friends.